Welcome to Trading the Close on this Thursday. I'm Toni Valliere with Verified Investing. Here's what's making headlines today. The Producer Price Index, which measures inflation at the wholesale level, increased 0.2% for the month, less than the estimated 0.3%. However, the PPI rose 2.1% over the last year, the biggest gain since April of 2023. Apple is looking to give the Mac an overhaul focused on processors designed to highlight AI. It's all in an effort to boost computer sales. Shares of Rent the Runway surged more than 200% after the clothing rental firm announced it will be counting on AI to boost its growth this year. Amazon CEO tells shareholders the company is going all in with AI, from the chips used to train to apps like its chatbot for Amazon's marketplace. Amazon has been investing heavily in the technology, including pouring $4 billion into the AI startup Anthropic. Let's get a check of where things stand just minutes before the closing bell on this Thursday. What a turnaround today. More green. The Dow is up 63 points, 0.17%. We're seeing the NASDAQ up over 280 points, 1.78%. We've got the S&P 500 up 47 points, 0.92%. And then we've got oil down slightly, gold up over $36. We've got Bitcoin down about $300. Let's bring in Chief Market Strategist Gareth Soloway. Welcome. Is this turnaround today, is that from the PPI?
It does seem to be that way. So we saw the PPI coming in a little bit lower than expected, and that's all the market needed to just breathe a little bit of sigh of relief, right? And then what it does is it coaxes all the buy the dippers back in, and then we charge right up like we've done. Now, a couple things to note here. Check this out. So here's that big Thursday massive decline. And I keep on bringing this up because it was intense volume, like huge volume, institutional volume. And then we kind of had this bounce, then we shot down here, and then this was yesterday's gap down on the CPI data. And then if you look at today, we've kind of just come right back up here. And if we just look at trend lines, so number one, here's your close, and here was your open yesterday, right? So this filled the gap, and that's right where the S&P filled that gap today, and we stalled right out. And then on the bigger picture, you still have, this was the beginning of that down move last week on Thursday, a week ago from today, and this was your low. And look at this. Like, again, we basically are just stuck in this period, right? We could even extend this line out a little bit right to here. And so this has been a whole lot of chop in this range, but we haven't really gone anywhere, right? We've gone down, then we come back up, and same thing over here. And again, for me, this is a very bearish reversal day. We need to see, if you want to see new all-time highs and really a bullish market resume, we have to see price on the S&P get above this level, right? So this is that starting point. We need to see it. And so far, we're not. So I'm not buying this in terms of, I don't buy the strength. I think it's a great rally today. But let's just see, can it really get up and eclipse that previous massive sell-off?
What are you thinking about the Fed rate cuts? Are we even likely to see at least one now after today's data?
I still think at least one. I still am in the camp that there's a possibility of two, and it's all going to depend on what the economy does as well as the stock market. So it's one and the same, right? You know, if the stock market keeps making new all-time highs, that keeps pressure on inflation. Just like these commodity prices keep going up, it keeps pressure on inflation. The Fed, it's harder to act. But if the stock market all of a sudden dropped 10% in, let's say, a month, the Fed is going to feel the pressure, and also people are going to start pulling back on spending, which will then lower inflation because they're going to see their 401ks down 10% in a month and be like, oh, this is not so good, right? So I think it really comes down to what the stock market does and these commodities do, and it should be very, very interesting. I mean, I'm watching it kind of almost like a soap opera. Like, you're seeing how it all plays out. Like, what's the next key event? What's the next, like struggle here for this character or whatnot? And, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of whippiness. I would just point out a couple other things to just point out here. I always refer to this is that, you know, this is that bigger pattern and we're still below, right? So again, that makes me a little bit nervous that we've broken. We just haven't had our next leg down. This is that high of that Thursday of last week we were just talking about. There's your low. So far, this is all inside bar action, which again, to me, that is generally a pattern that goes like that. So again, we'll see. You know, again, I could be proven wrong and we could get back up here and then it's really clear sailing again. You'll get a short squeeze probably through that high. But right now, if you look at history and charts and probabilities, the probability is that we're making some sort of top to roll over here.
Okay. Again, we just have to wait. Some of the big market movers today include CarMax, Fastenal, Rivian, Alpine Immune. Nike was a big one. Robinhood, Paramount.
Yeah, Nike's an interesting one here, right? So there's a trend line that Nike's down below here, right in this vicinity. In fact, I talked about it a while back, but this line actually goes all the way back to 2017, and you can see from the 2017 lows, it kind of cuts right through the COVID low, through these lows, and we're just right in that vicinity. So as things go, we see China starting to stimulate. I know China last night reported their CPI, which was deflation, and that's a big one because when an economy is in deflation, it means that the government really has no worries about printing as much money as they want because it's deflating versus inflation. It's here in the U.S. where it's harder for the Fed to print because we have inflation. So it really, Nike has so many sales over in China, and I wonder if the stimulus in China potentially does good things for Nike here. So I actually kind of like Nike down here. It's been beaten down from its highs all the way up here, and you're kind of at the low end. I mean, obviously, if it breaks this area, that's where you got to be concerned. But it's actually an interesting chart. Looking at Rivian, just real quick here, the tricky thing with Rivian is just you don't know how bad the EV situation is going to get. We know Tesla's way off of its highs. We know Lucid's basically borderline, potentially bankrupt. So it's one of those things where if you're a speculator, and when I say speculator, it's basically a gambler, then you give it a shot, right? But otherwise, it's like why? Why don't you go with best of breed? At least go with Tesla if you're going to do these type of things, because that's best of breed versus Rivian. They have a good car, but for me, this is a situation where it's hard to imagine that they're going to survive if we don't see a resurgence in EV interest.
Okay, so you would just hold off completely, or
for
would
me,
you?
Yeah, it's just one of those things where for me it's not worth the risk. I'd rather look at other opportunities out there in the market because there's always good opportunities out there.
Absolutely. How about gold?
Yeah, gold, amazing surge here. So
Yeah.
I've been kind of in the camp, obviously long-term, huge bull. But since we got up in this range, I've really been saying, all right, well, we're due for a little bit just of a pullback. This was that key line here. But today it's proving me wrong. It's above. Now, granted, it's not confirmed above or anything like that, so we'll see. But, again, by end of year, I still have a target of 2,540. Maybe it just goes straight there without any pullbacks. That's always a possibility.
Okay.
But incredible strength. It was such an underinvested asset for so many people, and now I think there's this rush for it. I mean, we heard about Costco, right?
Yes.
And all this thing. So
it's like a trend right now.
it is. It's like the hot trend to have that gold in it, and you can understand if you're holding that gold in your hand, it's pretty cool. Again.
I like to wear it.
Yeah, there you go. There you go. So it does. I mean, right now, so strong, and you could see how it easily could go to 2,500 plus this year. The question is, you just get little pullbacks along the way. Normal charts do, unless it's really in a crazy moment of kind of just everyone FOMOing in, essentially.
But don't panic if there is a little bit of a dip.
Don't panic. Like
okay.
Pullbacks should, and for me at least, pullbacks are buying opportunities. So in a weird way, I want it to pull back because I want to get an opportunity here. One other chart I want to just show real quick.
Yes, please.
Let's look at GDX because I know people love the miners here. And if we, that's not GDX, that's GD. But if we go to the GDX chart, and this kind of leads the same thought process of a potential pullback. Just take a look at this trend line right back here. This is going back to 2022. We can see through the highs here, and then price has had a really impressive move from $25, $26 to $35 here. So to me, it runs into this line. Eventually, I think it breaks, but it makes sense that it goes like that before it breaks. And again, if GDX is going to pull back, it means that gold probably is pulling back as well.
Okay.
So I'm
They go hand
I'm
in hand
still
for
kind
the
of
most part.
feeling like we're due for just a pullback in gold and then the next surge to the
And
upside.
another rush.
That's right.
All right, Gareth, thank you very much. We
Thank you.
appreciate it. And remember, you can catch Gareth navigate the charts in real time every weekday morning at 9 a.m. right before the opening bell. His show is called The Game Plan, and it airs right here on the Verified Investing YouTube channel. But we are not done. I have another incredible guest today, verified trader and our in-house crypto expert, Paul Sampson, is joining us with a look at what's happening in the world of crypto. And of course, got to start with Bitcoin. Hi, Paul.
Hello.
Good to have you back.
Day after hump day,
Yes,
but Friday
baby
Junior.
Friday.
That's a baby
Friday
Friday.
Junior.
That's it. Yes. Hello, everybody. So yeah, let's take a look at Bitcoin.
Would you say it was moving? You came in here earlier. You said it's moving too slow.
It's so slow. It was so slow.
It's
it's just really putting me to
moving
sleep
sideways.
today. But it was a nice little move. I mean, it had some movement today, and I kind of want to talk about that, right? So, if looking at this, right, yesterday we closed pretty much around the same price. I think it was right at $70,000, and currently we're trading back at like $78,500. We came up to about 71, another $1,000 higher. If I had to ask you, what do you think occurred today with this little rollover? What would you say?
I don't know. I mean, there's a little bit of a dip, but
I feel like every time I come on here, these Wednesdays and Thursdays, it's not all the time you get it, but the one thing I always look for, right?
Oh, is it a gold pocket? Is that what we're...
Just about. But no, so just like yesterday, right? We were kind of talking about the price action was doing this yesterday, where we dipped down. This was from the day before yesterday, so this is Tuesday. So now yesterday and Wednesday, you had this big sweep down, right at the, I think it was CPI data or something along that line, right? We had that dip down yesterday.
Yes.
And what was that? You came down, you swept the previous day low. So you knocked out all these traders that were getting long that didn't get the exact low, but they come in this region, they put their stop loss right below here, you snap them out of the market, you get everybody really fearful, you get people entering shorts, and then all of a sudden you get that rise, right? So now we got the rise up. Our day finished right here. So what did we do? We started off today doing the same thing, but to the upside. Now you got all these traders potentially coming in going short. Sorry, getting excited.
Already, yeah, right.
And we came up and we swept the previous day high. So you knocked out all those traders. And you got another little pullback here, right? So I do have a little gold pocket highlighted, but it did not actually come to that. We got a little bit of a less luxury pullback here. I alerted in the Trader's Edge crypto service that I was looking for this exact move and looking to come down. I don't have it pulled up here, but this is actually yesterday's range high. So if I was pulling a volume profile on this is actually just the high of the volume area, the value area essentially for yesterday. So just a really technical little bounce in this region. Could we come down here? It's something I'm, kind of still, looking at for short term. It's the 2021 high. Once again, I feel like we've been magnetized to that $69,000 area ever since January. It's just coming, it's living above it. Everybody's excited, lives below it. Everybody's, fearful, so on and so forth. It's honestly offered up a ton of trading opportunities. I do think that this range is at some point going to be coming to an end here, though, right? So we've been up here for months at this point. So for me personally, I am, barring a little move down to this region here, I am still actually targeting back up towards this region. I know I said it yesterday, 73,000, and effectively I do think we're going to touch that all-time high and probably make a new one here soon.
Soon.
Yeah.
Okay.
So we'll see. Obviously, things can change. And then I just want to cover.
They do, I know.
I just want to cover Ethereum as well, which I usually have another altcoin or two. It's really just kind of like the Ethereum and Bitcoin show right now. We really want to just make sure, or you really just kind of pay attention to the two of those. They're really going to dictate the market at the moment. If Bitcoin's going to see that rally back up towards a new, even if it doesn't make an all-time high, but it goes back up to 73,000. Noting that we're coming into the weekend. Generally, we have these weekend really big pumps when we have Bitcoin kind of rallies up throughout the week. The futures market, everything kind of closes. Bitcoin kind of settles out most of the time, and you get a lot of the altcoin movement at that point. So it's something maybe to keep an eye out for. Ethereum, on the other hand, that's not Ethereum.
I almost said that looks so much like Bitcoin right now.
Yeah, it's just like Bitcoin, right?
Yeah.
All right, so for Ethereum, now we did have a really nice couple of gold pockets today, right? So it was basically a gold pocket sandwich. And so yesterday, I'll just go ahead and show you how I'm drawing this out. So I'm pulling this now from the swing high here, and I'm going to pull all the way down to that low that we made yesterday. We did the same exact thing as Bitcoin, right? This was our previous low. Now this is for yesterday once again. So this was Tuesday's low. Wednesday we took it. We came up and we closed in this region last night. And then what did we come up to right here where we turned around? It was a gold pocket. So from that swing high, which once again, this is a Fibonacci retracement. So if I was to carve out basically this section of the chart, cut it in half, that'd be 50%. 61.8 to 65 is right here, right? So that's the gold pocket Fibonacci retracement. Is a very common retracement zone to the upside as well as to the downside. So where did we come here? This was our resistance, right? As we came into the day, pulled back. Now if we take another gold pocket and we pull that from that swing low to our new high, this is exactly where we came into today. So super simple stuff. I mean, there was other areas there as well. Like I said, looking at previous day range data, this was something that I tend to throw on once again in the Trader's Edge crypto service, right? So was prepared for this move here, right? We basically came in. So this is the range for yesterday. So similar to Bitcoin, Bitcoin just kind of stalled up at the high, but we had this move here. You came down, back under your previous day high. So that kind of allows for a pretty decent little short. And we just pretty much just ranged through yesterday's range right into the gold pocket as well. So just a really simple, I feel like it's simple, it's probably not, but.
I'm catching on,
yeah,
I'm catching on.
It just, to me, it was just the normal, kind of ebb and flow, and I do still foresee that we're probably gonna be heading higher here.
Following Bitcoin's
Yeah,
footsteps.
following Bitcoin. So for me, it's actually still back up towards like $3,800. I think it's at 36, but 3881 is a big level I'm looking for potentially in the next coming days, week.
Okay, that soon.
Yeah.
Okay, so anybody who's watching who is trying to follow along and says, I want to understand that a little better, tell them about the service that you were mentioning with the alerts. How do they get to that?
Yeah, absolutely. So just on verifiedinvesting.com, you can go to the website, and under the second tab to the right, that's under alerts, and just go under, it says Trader's Edge Crypto, and you guys can join there. I put all my analysis, I put the trade alerts in there, I put long-term, mid-term swing trades, all kinds of things in there. We have some fundamental analysis as well. There's a course I've created there as well that you can kind of, if you want to go and physically learn all the tactics that I'm going over every single day, but I do a pretty good job at trying to explain it as I'm presenting it. But yeah, just check it out at verifiedinvesting.com.
Awesome, Paul. Thank you so much.
Always a
Always
pleasure.
great to have you. And thank you for watching Trading the Close on this Thursday. We will be back on Monday, so make it a great rest of the week.